This is the first part of the series Introduction to Phenomenology. Here we ask what it means to begin from what appears. In this first part, we are not simply defining a term. We are setting the stage for a new way of taking what appears seriously. First, we'll look at why we traditionally distrust our senses, and then how phenomenology challenges that stance. The term phenomenology. Although the word phenomenology was not used in antiquity, it is formed from two Greek words. Phenomenon means that which appears, and logi comes from logos, understood here as a reasoned account. Taken together, the term means beginning from what appears. At first sight, this sounds trivial. Of course, we begin from what appears. How else could we begin? And yet, much of philosophy and science treat what appears as provisional, something to be explained away. The real is sought elsewhere. Why? Let us look at two examples. The sun, a foot across. Aristotle writes, "It is possible for things to have false appearances about which we have a true belief. For instance, the sun appears to measure a foot across, but we are convinced that it is greater than the inhabited globe. Here we have a strong reason to distrust what appears. The sun appears small, yet we know it is huge. So perhaps what appears cannot be taken at face value. Perhaps appearance must be corrected by knowledge." The sun in the mirror. Another example of correcting appearances by knowledge comes from Plato. In Book 10 of Plato's Republic, Socrates describes a remarkable craftsman who can produce everything, even the craftsman himself and the sun. When he is asked how this is possible, he replies that anyone could do the same simply by taking a mirror and carrying it around. By turning the mirror in the right direction, the sun appears in it. Plato adds, "These are appearances, but not beings in truth." So here again, appearance seems insufficient. What appears is not what truly is. Knowledge must rise above what appears. Not beings in truth. The phrase "not beings in truth" suggests that what appears cannot be relied upon as it stands. Appearance is treated as mere appearance. This way of thinking is deeply embedded in the roots of our heritage. It is easy to recognize the same pattern in modern accounts of reality. We are told, for example, that what appears as a chair is to be explained as a complex arrangement of particles that do not themselves appear directly. What appears is seen as needing to be explained by something more fundamental. We have learned to look through the appearance rather than at it. But this is not the only way philosophy has approached appearances. Setting down the appearances. In contrast to the claim that appearances are not beings in truth, Aristotle formulates his procedure differently. Even if he warned us that the sun can deceive us, he still tells us that we must first set down the phenomena, the appearances. Rather than dismissing them, he takes them as the starting point of investigation. This does not mean accepting them uncritically. We must work through to aporia the puzzles they present. Only then can we preserve what endures among the endoxa, the established and widely held views. In this way, appearances are not the last word, but they are the first. Insufficient witnesses of truth. As philosopher Martha Nussbaum observes, in much of Greek thought appearances were treated as insufficient witnesses of truth. Aristotle is fully aware of this tradition. And yet, he chooses to begin precisely from the appearances. At first glance, beginning by setting down appearances might sound like a rather modest move. But in fact, it marks a radical shift in the status of appearances. For Aristotle, the solution does not come by bypassing what appears. It comes by working from within it. Let us apply this to our examples of the sun. How does it appear? In the mirror, we do not see the sun itself, we see its image. And when the sun appears a foot across, we do not take it to be that size. In both cases, what appears is not simply false, it appears as something. The sun appears as reflected. The sun appears as distant. The question is no longer whether appearance is true or false. The question is, how does something appear? Can I fly? Before we move further, let me raise one more objection. Last night I had a dream. In it I flew like a bird. That appeared to me at the time, but in reality I cannot fly. So should we say that what appeared was simply untrue? Yes, I cannot fly in waking life. But in my dream I could. The flight appeared, but it appeared as dream flight. Its truth belongs to the dream, not to the waking world. As we have seen, appearances have often been treated, both in our tradition and today, as insufficient witnesses of truth. In contrast, phenomenology takes a different path. Appearances are not treated as insufficient. Instead, they are understood as original. Appearances are not something to bypass in our search for truth. They are where truth first shows itself. In our examples, the sun appears truthfully as reflected and as distant. And it appeared that I could fly, but only in my dreams. What matters then is not only what appears, but how it appears. This is precisely the point where Edmund Husserl, the founder of phenomenology, enters the discussion. Husserl uncovers a basic structure of experience: intentionality. The fact that every appearing is an appearing of something as something. The sun does not merely appear, it appears as reflected, as distant, as overwhelming. Appearances are not dismissed, they are saved. But now a new question arises. How can we study them? That is the task we will take up in the next video.